Welcome to the 35th episode of the Mayor's Mixtape. I am Haley Sue Robinson, Director of Public Affairs.
And City of Pueblo Mayor Heather Graham.
Great. 35 episodes, Mayor.
Oh.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
It is.
I'd like to remind you, you can find our podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can like, share, and subscribe. You're also welcome to email us and ask questions or ask for a topic suggestion. You can email us mayor@pueblo.us. Okay, Mayor, let's get into the City Council recap from last night. We had the first budget public hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's different than the first reading. So this was when citizens could come, talk about the budget once they've had the opportunity to review. I did think it was interesting. We had some folks online who didn't realize that they could review the budget. It's available at the library. It's also available in the finance department and the city clerk's office. Mm-hmm. It's still
online.
available.
Yep.
Yes, and it's available online. But a lot of folks didn't know that you actually can come read a printed version of the proposed budget. And so that's still available. And then first reading is going to be November 10th. And then final reading November 24th. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there was a lot of discussion about budget and fund balance. Can you maybe explain to the listener a little bit about the pattern of the fund balance and why we've seen such large fund balances since 2020?
Yeah, we had a couple citizens come and speak about the fund balance, what it looks like, why it's so large, where has the money gone?
Right.
That was in the fund balance. What does that look like? And so for those of you that don't know what the fund balance is, it's like the city's savings account, right?
Okay.
So it's the money left after we've budgeted and appropriated for a year minus the council and Tabor reserve. So the city is required to keep a city council reserve and a Tabor reserve.
Okay.
And you'll find that on, on the B1. So it's pretty much the first page with all of the numbers is going to be the city's B1. So it's really the first presentation of the budget all wrapped into one. And so what you're going to be looking at is the available for future appropriations. So available for future appropriations is everything after what we have this year is a 12% council contingency reserve, along with the Tabor reserve. So you'll see that fund right here, Tabor contingency reserve and council designation reserve. And it's about $15 million for the council reserve and about $3.5 million for the Tabor reserve. So you're about $19 million that the city has to keep based off of this $130 million budget.
Okay.
If something happens, right? So
this is what some folks refer
call
to
the rainy
as,
day fund.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, not really. Like if it's a need, if something catastrophic happened in the city, we would have that reserve that's mandated through our budget process.
Okay.
So everything after that is what's available for future appropriations, what we call the fund balance. So for future appropriations into the next year, or if council sees fit to make a transfer out of the reserve for a special project, or for if something comes up throughout the budget year, that's where they would take is from that fund balance, right? So last night we heard a couple citizens come and talk about the fund balance, why the city's fund balance is so large, why it's been so small, why we transfer funds in and out, and what that looks like. So what I decided to do was take numbers from, I think, 2012, starting off all the way through 2026, really highlighting what some of the fund balances had been previously, and kind of what you've seen over the last 5 years, because the city has debruced and we've taken in a lot of money, a lot of sales tax, and so that's where we see our fund balance grow. So we're gonna go ahead and take
You're
a
gonna
take
show
a peek at the
show
whiteboard
us
that
on
I
the
put
whiteboard?
together. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I went from 2012 to 2016. This is the fund balance for future appropriations. You can find all of this information under our budget portal. It will list the different years. Again, you're going to be going down and looking at the B1, and it's probably going to be in the right-hand corner, last number on the page. So you can see that in 2012, the reserve fund balance for future appropriations was $4,800. That's kind of scary, right? $4,800 that can be used for future appropriations. And then we go into 2013 and 2014, and you see 2 zeros that are available for future appropriations. And then you get into 2016. And in 2016, they actually had to take $168,334 out of that council Tabor contingency because we had no reserves from them to pull for.
Okay, Mayor, so can we go back to the 2012
Yeah.
or the zeros that you just mentioned? Why
Yeah.
were there zeros?
There were zeros because I believe at the time we had a city manager, 2012 to 2019's budget. The city manager, presented the budget and said, we need to take all of our reserves in order to continue to provide quality of life services for the citizens. So they wiped out the reserves, leaving only the council contingency and the Tabor reserve, 0. 2016, they ended up taking $168,000 from council reserves. 2017, they're back at $34,000 for fund balance for future appropriations. In 2019, you see that the city had $634,000 for future appropriations. So really, if COVID wouldn't have happened in 2020, the city of Pueblo would have been in a world of hurt, right? Only having $634,000 to dip into for future appropriations. 2020, 2021, you see we're back up at $5 million, and probably what you're going to see account for this large increase, that's going to be our police officers' positions continuing to roll over. So we budget for the positions. We don't fill the positions. They roll over back into the fund balance. So this is when you had your defund the police movement in 2020. COVID was happening. It was a hard time for the city to hire, recruit, retain police officers. So you're going to see several open positions. So you're going to see that continuous transfer back into your fund balance. In 2021, the city ran a ballot measure to de-Bruce. The ballot measure was called Revenue for Roads. So the previous administration knew that the city was going to be taking in a ton of money after seeing middle of 2020 through 2021's forecast of additional federal stimulus money, sales tax collections start to skyrocket. So instead of returning those dollars back to the citizens, the city de-Bruce was allowed to keep that money. But the administration goes and says, we are going to pave roads with those additional funds. And I believe the ballot language even said something to the fact of anything over, we will pave at least $5 million worth of roads out of this de-Bruce fund, right? So that happens in 2021. The voters vote on it. So 22, 23, 24, and into 25, you're really going to start to see the city, because of the de-Brucing that we did, start to take in a ton of money. And you're going to see that fund balance jump up to the highest point in 2022, which is $27 million available for future appropriations. So when we say available for future appropriations, this is money that we forecast that we are going to take in. Infrastructure projects, roads, those types of expenditures were what that money was spent on from 22 to 2024. They paved at least $10 million in roads every year. You could find that in your capital plan in the back of your budget. And you can see that at least $10 million is allocated in 27 or 2022, 2023, 2024. In 2025's budget, I think we did $5 million in roads for 2025. And then in this year, 2026 proposed, we have $2.5 million. And you can see what the fund balance is in 2026 proposed. And the reason for this is because in all of these years, right, the city is taking in tons of money because there's tons of federal stimulus. So we have a large fund balance. Large fund balances are good to be able to do capital improvement projects, pave roads, right? But when it comes to wages, and not that this is a bad thing, the city now has the ability to pay. So when we are negotiating with all of our unions, and you have these large fund balances, 27 million, 18 million, 20 million, and 20 million, the city has the ability to pay these larger wage increases that are the comparable to our 5 cities listed in the charter. So
that was something that's quite a few citizens brought up, or at least one or two.
Yep, personnel costs.
About personnel costs. Talk a little bit more about the ability to pay, or why the increase in personnel costs over the last several years.
So before, if you go back and you look at some of these times up here, before we debruced, before we were taking in all this money, you can read the paragraph where the city manager talks about pay increases. And specifically when I looked last night in one of the years, it's like we're going to pay the fire employees $50 more a month. And so they're going off by dollar increments instead of percentages. There were times when they talked about 25 cents an hour, 10 cents an hour in some of the budgets, because at the time the city had an inability to pay, right? You're dipping into your council reserves. You have $34,000 left in the city's savings account for future appropriations. And all of these times, the city does not have an ability to pay. So when we go to arbitration and when we're negotiating with our unions, that's what we're negotiating on. We're negotiating on $10 instead of 10%, right? In all of these years, we're negotiating on high percentage increases because we have the ability to pay with these high fund balances.
And another question I have is, there are instances where we see folks across the city who will work overtime. Mm-hmm. So we obviously have the set pay for salary scale. But then when it comes to overtime, like let's say, when we have like Chili Fest or the Colorado State Fair, or even like Evraz, when we had the Evraz fire, we had folks that were working overtime for those instances in like police and fire. Yep. Or if we were to have like a water main break and it somehow affected stormwater or wastewater, we would pay folks overtime. Yeah. Does that come out of the salary line item, or does this affect these numbers that we can potentially pull from fund balance?
They have a temporary wage line, an overtime wage line in each of their departments. Where we really see a lot of those overtime wages right now is the police department. I think we're over $1 million this year in already overtime, so we're taking it out of their salary savings. So those positions that the city has funded, but we have not filled, we have the ability to move that money from those unfilled positions and pay that money through salary savings for our overtime budget. So that's all incorporated in your wage line. So when the city goes to negotiate with the fire union, with the page union, with the police union, we are really focusing on what is our fund balance for future appropriations into the next year. That is what an arbitrator is going to look at. That is what the attorneys for the 3 unions are going to look at. Does the city have the ability to pay that 4%? Do they have the ability to pay that 7%? And the city did. The city has had the ability to pay those large salary increases from at least 2021 until 2025. Now, 2026 is going to be a different story, right? Because we only have $5 million left in our future appropriations for 2027's budget.
So then looking forward, this $5 million seems to be a concern for some folks.
It's 100% a concern, and I'll tell you why. So Just this year alone, City Council approved pay increases for the 3 unions, which totaled more than this number with their health insurance benefits. Total package, it was like $6.1 million that they approved in wage increases that we already know is going to be an impact on 2027's budget, right? So just the pay increases alone that they will receive in 2025, we will not have any reserves moving into 2027's budget unless we either have an increase in sales tax or unless something changes within the economy and we are able to bring in more sales tax dollars.
Okay, thanks for the breakdown, Mayor. I think that's helpful for folks to understand the historical reference, but also looking forward, what does this mean for ability to pay for our unions, for wages,
roads,
and then quality of life for citizens. I think these are important conversations to have of what can we expect for the future. Obviously, when we're planning for 2026, we have to look even beyond.
Yeah, and that's, since I got into this role a year ago, if you're not increasing your sales tax revenue, if that is continually decreasing, you already know, hey, you're 8.6 in the hole, right? Come 26, if nothing happens with sales tax, you're 8.6 plus wage increases in the hole. And come 27, if nothing happens, your 25 and 26's decrease. Plus, we're going to be negotiating with the unions again in 27. So, and in 26. So, you really have to. I've been saying this, like this is we're playing the long game. I'm not just budgeting for 26. When I look at 26, I'm budgeting for 27 at the same time, knowing where we can cut, seeing what makes sense, and seeing how much money we're going to be able to move back and forth between that fund balance, knowing how many police officers we have, right? Because a lot of the time, those dollars that you have seen roll over year after year is because that we've had a shortage with our police department.
Yeah, it's from salary savings.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else we need to know about the budget right now?
I don't think so. The public hearing will be on the...
Well, the first reading will be the 10th.
Yep, and then
the public hearing will be the 24th. 24th.
Well, and then that is where citizens can also come.
Yep.
And speak.
They have another public hearing opportunity.
Yep. And that is where City Council could also make amendments if they chose to. Another thing that I heard last night, and I just want to make sure that this is clear, is that the department directors were not asked to, come and present their budgets like they had done in previous years. Last year, some departments were requested to come. I think we had 5 or 6: fire, police, parks, public works,
IT, I think.
IT, stormwater, maybe. And this year, City Council did not request any directors come before City Council to.
So that's why we didn't have
to
those
present.
Reports?
That is why we didn't have any of the reports. If it was requested, we would be more than happy to come and present line by line. There's 8,000 lines in this. That is why we had the previous 26 meetings, also to bring City Council up to date, where you could sit and you could go line by line per department and hear directly from the department head on what they want or what their needs are, where their decreases can be met. And so that was a request that did not come from the City Council for 2026 proposed budget.
Okay.
And since I have presented it as of the 20th, we have not been asked to come and present any additional follow-up at this point. So there's still some time left in between. So if there's citizens that want to request to their City Council person for, hey, I want to see the police department's full budget, can Chief Nora come and present what that makeup is? Any of the directors would be happy to come and present their entire budget in front of City Council.
And they have those prepared because they have already had meetings with you.
Yep.
So it's not like it's new information they have to prepare.
Nope.
Okay, I understand.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Well, lots of decisions still to be made over the course of the next month, so we'll see how this all shakes out with the budget. I know this is a conversation that many municipalities, the state, obviously the federal government is speaking about the budget as well, so it's just budget season. Yeah. Okay. We had a win last night with the dog track. There was a vote brought back for reconsideration. So it originally passed 4-3. Then on October 20th, council asked to reconsider the vote. But last night it actually was reapproved, and it was 5-2.
Yeah, it was great.
We had the developer online and answered some questions. I think one thing that was interesting that council talked about was assessing the plan moving forward was the development plan.
Sure.
So can you talk a little bit about that process moving forward?
So when the city uses any kinds of funds to incentivize or when we are dealing with our access permits up and down the boulevard, the city puts together a development agreement, which is between the city and the developer, or like the urban renewal, the city and the developer, saying if we're going to incentivize you, you have to fulfill X, Y, and Z before you receive.
Okay.
So that's what we do. Typically on any time that there's dollars or land exchanged, we want to see the return on investment, what's going to happen at the end, and we want to be able to take that to city council and to the public and say, hey, we're going to incentivize these individuals, this demo, we're going to incentivize through land, any type of our incentive, we're going to do that, and this is what the developer is going to get back. So last night was just the moving of the funds into this project, and now we will be working with the developer to put a development agreement plan together, in which city council will have to approve, which is really going to give milestones that the developer has to meet to make sure that they're using the funds the way that they were supposed to. It holds them accountable. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that was one thing that we heard from council was just making sure that they felt that the public and they as council still had the ability to approve the plan moving forward. That it wasn't just, hey, we hope to do this, and then if we don't do it, bummer. And so what I heard was it helped me understand that this was an appropriation of funds, and then the plan will come back for approval. And so essentially the city is part of the process every step of the way. Right. There's not a spot where the developer just gets to go rogue and says, you know what, I said I wanted to do a hotel, but we're going to put up another gas station. And, a lot of people in Pueblo are like, we don't want another gas station. And so we, the public, then won't be disappointed. Yep. Great. Yeah. Cool. But also exciting too, because I think a lot of folks are just ready and happy to see something which used to be vibrant and thriving and now has become such an eyesore down, and an opportunity for something new to be presented. I think it's really exciting.
Yeah. I'm glad that it worked out, and it's moving along.
Cool. So we'll see more of that coming forward probably in the next couple of weeks or months. Yep. Great. Yeah. Cool. Another exciting pass last night was the Small Business Window Repair Mini Grant Fund. Yeah. These funds, it was $50,000, and that is being appropriated from the American Rescue Plan Act interest. Yep. And this can help up to 50 small businesses through a reimbursement program. So talk about how this program will work.
Sure. So
and kind of next steps.
It's really for, broken glass, windows, etc. And so what the business will be able to do is, say you have a broken window, the cost is $900. You will have, because the grant can go up to $1,000, reimbursable grant. So you will have to get the window replaced. You will have to file a police report. You will have to be current with city sales tax.
Sure. Current business license.
Okay. Correct. And then you can we're going to have a form, a checklist of everything that you're going to need. And then you will be able to come to the mayor's office, and we will reimburse your money that you've spent to repair that window up to $1,000.
Great. That's fantastic. And, I think Chief Knoller and Councilor Martinez talked about, there is the possibility like you have like a smaller window that's broken and then maybe like a door that's broken. So it's up to $1,000. So let's say that, I have $1,500 worth of damage. I can be reimbursed up to $1,000, even if it's two separate instances.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Cool
that helps with the burden of cost. I know a lot of folks are just saying, hey, this is difficult for us to navigate, and we just need some help.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. We also have some upcoming events.
Yes.
It's a busy week.
Halloween.
We have Halloween. I know it was really successful over the weekend with the trunk or treat at El Centro. You were also down at the Riverwalk for Fright Night.
Yeah, I gave away 20 bags of candy, and it was
packed. I saw pictures.
A lot of kiddos out there.
Yeah,
really cool costumes.
Wall-to-wall people.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't even walk. So it was a great event.
Cool. Well, we're going to have trick-or-treating here at City Hall, but we also have like a kind of like a toucher truck in the parking lot, so you can come check out a Vector truck or a sweeper, a police car. We're going to have a haunted bus.
Yeah.
All kinds of really fun things. So find out how kind of city fleet works and in the different departments. It'll be really fun. So that's from 2 to 4 on Friday. We also still have our discount days with Waste Connections. So solid waste, trash, yard trimmings, mattresses, box springs, all those things, you receive a discount as long as you bring your city ID or a utility bill that proves that you're a city resident. And the Southside Landfill, they're open Monday through Friday from 7 to 5 and Saturday 8 until 1. And it's located at 5715 West State Highway 78. So that you can take advantage of that until Saturday this week. And then, we'll do the podcast next Tuesday, but next Tuesday will be Election Day.
Yep.
Important day for the city, important day for the county, important for everyone.
Yeah.
So if you have not turned in your ballot, you should do that. Or go vote on Election Day at one of the polling locations.
Yep.
So very excited to see how that all turns out. Anything else? Any other upcoming events that we need to know about?
There's so many. I mean,
I know.
We have the EDCC here all week, right? We can talk about that next week.
Yeah.
As it concludes. We have 300 economic development,
nonprofits, for-profits.
Yep. Teams here, and
I met some folks from other municipalities in the state.
Yeah, I went to their opening dinner on Sunday night, and they, people were like, oh my gosh, Pueblo and the Riverwalk, and your weather, everything is so great here. There was some people who had come from Palisade, and there was some snow on the way.
Oh,
so
sure.
They were like, it's so hot here.
Well, and even though it was kind of cooler on Sunday, they did a golf tournament, and everyone was super excited. Most people don't realize, from across the state, like I'm a golfer, so I love fall golf is like the best. But I mean, you can play golf even January, February here in Pueblo because you get a nice 50-degree day. Yep. It's pretty awesome. So like people from Palisade, I mean, even sometimes people from Denver are like, I can't believe how great your weather is.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear people's perspectives on Pueblo outside of the community. I'm sitting with groups of people who have no clue who I am, just sitting in.
Just a regular person.
And they're promoting Pueblo. They're like, this place is really cool. And what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm the mayor. Like, oh, well, we love your city. So
that's great to hear.
Sometimes we get down on ourselves as community members here, but it's really nice to hear people talk about
how much they love our city.
How much they love Pueblo, and how they'll be back. And we had the clerks conference here last week.
Oh, yeah.
Same kind of overall support for our community. And so that's nice to hear.
I talked to a couple folks from the clerks conference who either had lived in Pueblo previously or had visited previously, and they were just so happy to be back. And so I think for those of us who are from here, it's always a really nice reminder just to hear folks who like the city we live in.
Absolutely.
It kind of gives you a little fresh perspective of like, yeah, Pueblo's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Cool. Okay, anything else, Mayor?
That's it.
Great. So we will see you next week. You can find us on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Buzzsprout, wherever you get your podcast. You can also watch us on local channel 17 and share the podcast, like, subscribe. And if you have questions or topic suggestion, you can email us mayor@pueblo.us. And we'll see you next week.